You've spent your entire life reading between the lines of what people say, detecting the unspoken, sensing the hidden currents beneath every conversation. But there's one person whose secret life remains invisible even to you, yourself. Because here's the thing. There is no hidden world more vast than the mind of an introvert who perceives through intuition. While others see the surface, you see layers beneath layers, patterns within patterns. Your inner world isn't just rich, it's an entire cosmos that exists in complete silence. Most people have thoughts, you have civilizations. And today, I'm revealing 5 secrets about that hidden world. Secrets that deep intuitives carry but rarely admit, even to themselves. Things you know are true but would never say out loud. If you're an INFJ, INFP, INTJ, or INTP, this is for you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you've always felt like you're living 2 lives. Let's begin. Secret 1. You're performing a safer version of yourself. Here's the first secret. The person people know isn't actually you. It's a translated version, a compressed file. You've learned to take that vast interior world and flatten it into something that fits into normal conversation. Your thoughts don't move in straight lines. They arrive as webs. One idea connects to 6 others, each one branching into implications and patterns and meanings most people never track. But you've learned that sharing this overwhelms people, so you edit yourself in real time. You've figured out which observations to share and which to keep hidden. You pause before speaking, not because you're searching for words, but because you're calculating. Is this too much? Will they understand? Should I simplify this so they don't feel stupid? And here's what nobody knows. You've built an entire second self just to interact with the world. The INFJ learns to show only measured emotional responses, even though you're feeling everything in the room at volcanic intensity. You've mastered the art of mirroring just enough empathy to connect without revealing the actual depth of what you perceive. The INTP simplifies your thought process because watching you think at full speed makes people uncomfortable. You've learned to hide the 3 logical steps you took to reach a conclusion and just present the answer, even though the process is the interesting part. That 2-hour conversation that leaves you needing 2 days to recover? Yes, you're introverted, but there's something else happening. You weren't just socializing, you were performing a constant translation, making yourself easier, more palatable, less intense, and you're so good at it that people think they know you. They don't. They've never met the version that exists at 2 a.m. when you're alone with thoughts that would take hours to fully articulate. They've never seen the actual depth of what you notice, what you feel, what you understand. You wear this mask not to deceive, just to belong, to make your complexity fit into conversations that weren't built for it. But here's what you're not telling anyone. You're exhausted from being the easier version. Every time you compress your thoughts, soften your truth, simplify yourself so others feel comfortable, a part of you disappears. You know you're betraying something essential and you resent it because sometimes you wonder, what if they met the real you? The full intensity version with that massive interior world running at full capacity. Would they stay or would it be too much? You're not sure you want to find out. Now here's where it gets darker. This performance isn't just protecting you from judgment, it's protecting the world from something else entirely. Which brings us to secret number 2. Secret 2, you possess forbidden knowledge. You don't just see what people are hiding from each other, you see what they're hiding from themselves, the gap between who they think they are and who they actually are, the contradiction between their stated values and their actual choices, the moral compromise they made so long ago they don't even notice it anymore. You see the person who talks about integrity while quietly betraying it every day, the system everyone defends that's obviously built on a lie. The collective agreement to pretend something broken is working fine. And here's what makes it forbidden. You can't point it out without becoming the problem. You notice the everyday cruelties people commit without even registering them as cruel. The INFP sees how someone's kind behavior is actually a power move, how their concern is actually control, how the nice person everyone loves is quietly crushing someone's spirit. You detect the thing everyone has silently agreed not to mention. The INTJ sees the entire organizational structure built on a flawed assumption that everyone's too invested to question now. It's not that you're negative. It's that you notice the emperor has no clothes while everyone else is genuinely admiring the fabric. And when you try to say something, you learn fast. You're not insightful, you're cynical, you're not observant, you're judgmental. You don't see clearly, you just focus on the negative. So you stopped speaking it. You watch the performance, you see the machinery beneath it, and you stay silent because the truth isn't welcome here. This is the forbidden knowledge. You see through the stories people tell themselves to stay comfortable, and calling it out doesn't make you right. It makes you alone. And that loneliness, it's not accidental, because secret number 3 reveals what you've been doing with your actual life. Secret 3, you're haunted by the ghost of your unlived life. Here's the secret that hurts. There's a version of you that's more real than the one you're living. Not a vague fantasy, a complete person. You know exactly who they are. The writer carrying 3 books for a decade. Not, I should write someday. You know the structure, the voice, entire chapters written in your head during commutes. But the page stays blank. The teacher who knows exactly how to reach students everyone gave up on. You've designed the curriculum. Imagine the moment something clicks for a kid who thought they were stupid. But you stay in the corporate job. These aren't dreams. They're blueprints, fully formed lives you're not living. And here's what you're not telling anyone. You feel it like a presence, a ghost haunting you. But here's the darker truth. By keeping that life unlived, you've become a ghost too. Present, but not alive. Visible, but not real. Going through the motions of your acceptable life while the actual you remains trapped, watching from the shadows. The INFP who knows exactly what living with complete integrity looks like. What you'd say, what you'd refuse, what lines you'd draw. But that life means conflict, losing people, being difficult. The INTP who's decoded something important, mapped territory no one else sees. You could teach this, but that means exposure, being wrong in public, your interior world surviving contact with reality. You can see other people's unlived lives with X-ray vision, but your own? That stays theoretical. And here's the unbearable part. It's not waiting patiently. Every year, as the acceptable version, that other life becomes less possible. The writer's voice fades. The teacher's passion dulls. You start wondering if you imagined it. If the person you're meant to be was just compensation for not being brave enough to become them. You're not procrastinating, you're mourning for a life that exists complete in your mind, but hasn't taken a single breath in reality. And you know exactly why you're keeping it unlived. Because the moment you bring it into the world, you become accountable. The performance ends. You can't hide behind potential. You have to be that person. Not in your head at 2 a.m., but in daylight where people can see you. The unlived life is both your greatest treasure and your deepest accusation. But why? Why would you keep this life unlived? Because secret number 4 reveals what you're actually afraid of. Secret 4, you're terrified of your own intensity. Here's the secret you won't admit. You're not hiding from the world's judgment. You're hiding from yourself. Because you know that if you stopped performing, if you spoke the forbidden knowledge out loud, if you actually lived that unlived life, you would be too much. Your actual emotional depth isn't manageable, it's overwhelming. Your actual standards aren't reasonable, they're absolute. Your actual vision isn't practical, it's uncompromising. Your actual intellect doesn't make things comfortable, it dismantles everything. This is what you've learned to compress, to soften, to dose out in acceptable portions. The INTJ who doesn't just want success, you want to burn down broken systems and rebuild them correctly. You don't want to climb the ladder, you want to redesign it according to principles that actually make sense. But that level of conviction, that refusal to play along, it threatens people. The INFJ whose emotional intensity isn't gentle wisdom, It's volcanic. You don't just feel things, you feel them with a force that scares you. One conversation can leave you processing for days. One injustice can consume you for weeks. So you've learned to be the calm one, the steady one, while the storm rages inside. So you've learned to be less. You dumb it down. You soften the edges. You play the game while despising it. You accommodate when your actual values are uncompromising. And here's the secret you're not telling anyone. You resent yourself for it. Every time you compress your truth to make someone comfortable, something inside you dies. Every time you perform normalcy instead of living at full intensity, you feel like a traitor because you know what you're capable of. You've felt it. That 2 a.m. version of you alone, thinking at full capacity with no translation required. That's not the exception. That's who you actually are. But you've been taught that intense people are difficult, dramatic, too much. So you've spent years learning to be acceptable, and in the process, you've forgotten how to be yourself. This is the price of the mask from secret number 1. It doesn't just hide you from others, it hides you from yourself. And the terrifying question underneath all of this, what if you let the intensity out and discovered you can't control it? What if the full capacity version of you is too much even for you? So you keep it compressed, managed, safe, and that vast interior world continues burning at half power, waiting. Which brings us to the final secret, the one that explains everything else. Secret 5. You know you're here for something bigger. Here it is. The secret that feels too grandiose to admit, too embarrassing to say out loud. You've always felt you're here for something bigger. Not just a good career, not just a happy life. Something that matters. Something that needs to exist. A purpose you can't quite name, but have never been able to shake. And if you're being really honest, sometimes it feels less like purpose and more like destiny. Like you're the chosen one called for a sacred mission. There. You'd never say it out loud. It sounds insane, narcissistic, delusional. But the feeling won't go away. You notice the signs. The synchronicities that feel too precise to be random. The book that falls open to the exact page you needed. The conversation that answers the question you asked in your head. The recurring dreams. Flying, escaping, finally speaking your truth to people who actually hear you. The moments when reality seems to be speaking directly to you, confirming something you already knew. You feel it in your body, that high libido, but it's turned inward. An intense life force fueling your interior world, creative, urgent, demanding outlet. Something wants to be born through you, and it won't stay quiet. Maybe you recognize what's happening. The prophet archetype stirring in the collective unconscious. That ancient pattern of the one who sees what others don't, who speaks what others won't, who carries a message that disrupts comfortable lies. Or maybe it's the hero's journey. The call to leave the ordinary world and become who you're meant to be. But here's what makes it bearable to admit. This isn't about being special in the world's eyes. It's about something internal. You're not here to achieve some external destiny, to be famous, to be recognized. You're here to become who you actually are, to stop living the translated version and finally embody the complete one. Carl Jung called this individuation, becoming your true self instead of the self you were taught to perform. But for you, it doesn't feel like psychology. It feels like destiny. That unlived life from secret number 3, it's not just a better career or different lifestyle. It's who you're supposed to become. The person you've been moving toward your entire life, even when you've been running away. And here's the final secret. All the other secrets, the performance, the forbidden knowledge, the unlived life, the hidden intensity, they're all defense mechanisms against this one truth. Because if you admitted you're marked for something, everything would have to change. You'd have to stop performing and actually pursue it. Speak the forbidden knowledge out loud. Stop mourning the unlived life and live it. Let the intensity out. You'd have to answer the call, and that's absolutely terrifying. Because what if you fail? What if the chosen feeling is delusion? What if the signs are just pattern recognition? What if you're not marked, just self-important? So you stay in the performance. Keep the knowledge hidden. Keep the life unlived. Keep the intensity compressed. You treat the chosen feeling like a secret shame instead of a sacred responsibility. But deep down, that 2 a.m. version of you isn't the fantasy. It's the person you're refusing to become. The marked feeling isn't grandiosity. It's the truth your soul has been screaming at you your entire life. And every day you spend hiding it is another day you're betraying your own becoming. The world doesn't need another person performing normalcy. It needs you to become who you actually are. And if this chosen one feeling resonates, I've written an entire essay exploring the psychology behind it on my Substack, The Hidden Chamber. Link in the description. Now, these 5 secrets, they're not abstract concepts, they're lived experiences, and I need to know which one landed deepest for you. Comment one word below: mask, oracle, ghost, volcano, or chosen. Tell me which secret you recognized in yourself. So here's what you're not telling anyone. You're living 2 lives and you know the second one is real. The question isn't whether you'll ever reconcile them. The question is how much longer you'll wait. Because every day you spend performing normalcy, hiding what you see, avoiding your actual life, suppressing your intensity, and ignoring your calling. That's another day the second life stays hidden. That vast interior world, those valleys and oceans of meaning you carry in silence, they're not meant to stay compressed into acceptable small talk. You've spent your entire life reading between the lines of what everyone else says. Maybe it's time to read between the lines of your own life. The secret life isn't separate from the real life. It is the real life, waiting for you to stop hiding it. If this is your first time here, subscribe. This channel is dedicated to exploring the hidden psychology of deep intuitives, the parts of yourself you've never been able to explain to anyone else. I've also opened 2 membership options: the Inner Circle and the Guardian Circle. They're a way to support this work and help keep this ecosystem alive, with badges and features that mark you as part of this community. And here's the final revelation, the one that makes everything else make sense. You already knew all of this. Every single secret I just told you, you recognized it instantly because you've been living with it your entire life. I didn't reveal anything. I just said out loud what you've been thinking in silence. That's the real secret. You don't need anyone to explain you to yourself. You've always understood. What you needed was confirmation that you weren't crazy, that you weren't alone, that somewhere out there, someone else sees what you see, and maybe a language for it. Well, now you have it. Thousands of people watched or will watch this video and feel the same recognition you did. The secret life isn't a secret anymore. The only question left is, what will you do now that it's been spoken out loud? That's the real secret.